been working really to drive outreach to the hearings. And we do a lot of phone banking and testimony writing and just like really putting a lot of effort into this because we know that communities in St. Louis are energy burdened significantly, and a rate increase is the last thing that our communities need. My name is Mihaela. I believe I met all of you. I also go by Hal or Hala. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the field organizer for the Missouri chapter of the Sierra Club. And so folks just want to put their name, pronouns, and what brings you to the call in the chat. I'm just going to pass it over to Jackie.
Okay, um, so I can't get to the chat, and with this on my screen, I can't figure out how to get to the chat. But I'll put all of that in the chat later. I'm Jackie Hutchinson with Consumers Council of Missouri. I am the Director of Advocacy for Consumers Council. Before that, I worked at community action agencies for 40 plus years before retiring in 2020. And so my job over the years was running utility assistance programs, but more importantly, advocating for the policies and procedures that are against the policies and procedures that make it difficult for those of us who are low and moderate income, and for vulnerable customers and communities of color where the policies and procedures seem to be implemented more harshly. So making sure that there was equity in assistance for on utility bills. So as I said, I work for Consumers Council now, and Consumers Council works to build a more inclusive and equitable community through advocacy, coalition building, and community education. And we do that by building coalitions, by working with coalitions. We're a very small staff. Up until this week, there were two and a half of us, and we just got one of those about 6 weeks ago. So now we have three other part-time people that are helping us do the work. However, we've always collaborated with others, like Sierra Club and like Renew Missouri and the Public Council and Legal Aid and all of those organizations to get this work done. And we've always engaged as many people who are impacted by the high utility rates as we could to help us do the job of making an impact. So the rate increases that the utilities that are publicly regulated are regulated by the Missouri Public Service Commission. And so those are investor-owned utilities, not like municipal utilities that like the city's water department, but those that have stockholders and the investors own the company. And they are monopolies because there's in the St. Louis area not two gas companies that you can have, or not two electric companies that you can have. There's only one. And so the job of the Public Service Commission is to make sure that the rates are just and equitable. And there's a process to them doing that job. There are 5 commissioners, and the commissioners sort of act like judges. If you think of the whole process as a court hearing, there are 5 judges. There's an administrative law judge that runs the proceeding, and then a court reporter that is recording every minute of the proceeding, everything you say. So what is the public hearing, and why do we want them? Public hearings are designed to let consumers, or any person of business could come before them, anyone that has a utility bill with the company that is requesting an increase can come to a public hearing and speak as to how that impacts them. Now, usually the bigger companies can hire attorneys that intervene in cases for them, and so they don't show up at the local public hearings. The organizations like Consumers Council and Legal Aid and those nonprofits, moving around. So nonprofits that are interveners also don't usually make comments at the public hearings. So if we are intervening and I am a public and I am an expert witness, and then usually I act as an expert witness, I don't go to the podium because we have to submit that testimony prior to the start of the public hearings. And so I wouldn't be speaking at a public hearing, but I would definitely come out to encourage others to speak. So the hearing is an opportunity for any consumer to speak directly to the Public Service Commission. The commissioners, at least, usually there's at least 2 out of the 5 that are there when the hearing is taking place, but all of them are bound to read all of the testimony that is given in the case. And so even if they're not there, every word that is said is recorded, and they must take it into account when they make the decisions that they make. So why are they doing these hearings? As I said, to give a voice to the consumer, to identify issues that they may not have thought about, and to ensure that the rates are fair. The most important thing is to give a consumer a voice, allow you to speak directly to the regulators and talk about how the increase is going to impact you. That could be for or against the increase, but how is it going to impact you? And so sometimes you have people there who will say, I know that you all need more money to keep everything safe, so I'm for the rate increase. But for low income families and families that are working and not barely making ends meet, or not at all, or those who are retired, it's often a matter of what do you give up? What do you have to give up in order to pay another increase in the utility bills? And so it's really important for that voice to be heard. The other thing is that the utilities really don't want public hearings. And so, and they've tried every single year for the last, no, at least since COVID, to eliminate public hearings altogether. It's been tough for us because we've had to fight, and when I say us, I mean the organizations that we work with to advocate. It's been really tough, and we've had to, fight to get 1 or 2 public hearings in our area, where back in the day, there were 5 or 6 public hearings in an urban area like ours. And so we're fighting to ensure that we have this opportunity. Many states have dropped public hearings. Most of the states around us have a process where there are no public hearings. There is no input from actual customers who may be struggling with this, and only interveners who have expert witnesses can have a comment. And so we have to show up to make sure that they know that we need these, and we're there looking and watching and listening to what is going on. So somebody's waiting to be admitted. Who should participate? Affected customers. We want customers who will, this will impact the most, to come and make the comments from their heart on how this is going to impact them. We also want agency representatives who work closely with affected customers. So if you're providing assistance, or you're working in a food pantry and you're seeing increased numbers of people who need food, or if you work in a clinic and you hear about people who are not taking their medicine because they had to pay their utility bills, all of those are reasons to come out. Small business owners, we don't get enough small business owners to come out to the hearings. However, they are usually affected the same way as a lot of customers are. And so, to whatever extent we can get a small shop owner to come out and talk about how it may impact their business to have their bill go up, it is important to do that. And then any others who are interested in the case and have a bill should have the opportunity to come forward and speak. So, oops, okay. I was trying to make that come out. Okay, how will the hearing proceed? And this is really, really important. So, when you get to a public hearing, the first thing you should do is find the desk with the table with the sign-in sheet and sign up to speak if you want to speak. But even if you think you want to speak and you decide not to later, sign up when you get there. The next thing that's going to happen is a pre-hearing question and answer session. I like to say, wait this out. This is an opportunity for the utilities to do a commercial about why they need more money and to convince you that their needs are real. But they also give you an opportunity to ask them questions. Now, what happens is a lot of people will ask them personal questions about their bill and all of that, and they will say, "Well, we've got people outside who can answer your questions. You can just go outside to the table." Or they will continue the question and answer period for so long, people think that they have already made the comments they need to make. But you are not on the record. None of that is recorded. You must wait until an administrative law judge asks you to raise your hand and be sworn in before your testimony is on the record and before it will be a part of the case. You must do that. Um, Usually they will give you 3 minutes. And so you need to make sure that you have a concise statement that reflects your situation, what the impact is going to be on you, your family, your income. You can turn in a written copy once you're done. So if you have a longer statement, summarize it in those 3 minutes and let the rest of your statement be given to the court reporter. Once you give it to the court reporter, it becomes an official part of the case. And so make sure that if your statement is really long, that you you have a written copy to turn in. You don't want to give a lot of statistics and that kind of thing, because those who are doing the expert witness testimony, like me, have added statistics. Those that work for legal aid and those kind of organizations that are seeing people regularly, are helping people regularly, they'll give the statistics. What's most impactful is for you to speak from your heart in your voice and talk about you and your family or those closest to you. The commissioners can ask you a question, or the utility can ask you a question, but you cannot ask the question while you're testifying. Think of it like court. If you're in court, the judge can ask the question, the attorneys can ask you questions, but you cannot respond with a question. You can answer questions, but that is not the time to ask any questions. So again, tell your own story in your own words. Avoid speaking generally for others that you do not know. You don't want to say, everybody in my neighborhood is struggling with their bills, because you don't know everyone in the neighborhood, things like that. But keep it to stories that you can tell that about yourself and people you know very closely. You can also agree to the testimony of others. So if the person that came before you says everything that you wanted to say, and you can concur with that, you can say, I agree with the testimony of Mrs. Jones, and I want to add to that, and just make your statement very very brief. And as it gets later in the evening, if there are a lot of people there, sometimes it will be, everything that you wanted to say was said. But do not think that you have to not take your 3 minutes or your 5 minutes, because if you want to repeat what's already been said, please repeat what's already been said. So when you tell your story, talk about the increased financial stresses, your inability to buy adequate food, not being able to make timely payments to the utility companies or your rent, can't afford your medical necessities, the increased mental stress, and God forbid we have people who are feel like and are forced to move out of their homes, or feel like they may be forced to move out of their homes if the utility bill goes up $1. You can talk about the totality of the things that have gone up. Your, your electric bill has went up a couple of years ago. Your gas bill went up. The water bill went up. All of those things have gone up in the last couple of years. And did anybody get, a 15% increase in salary? My Social Security went up 2.5% this year, and I'm still faced with this 15.4% increase that they're asking for, along with all of the other utilities that are coming in asking for money. So you want to, make the case that this is a real mental and stress on your family, your whole family, or you if you're an individual. And then if you represent an agency, you want to make a persuasive case by using more statistics. You can attach statements from many clients that you see. You can affirm the testimony of others, but you still have the same 3 to 5 minutes. If there are not too many people there, they will give you 5 minutes, but usually it's 3 minutes. Make sure that your statistics or facts are accurate, and that you have sources in your document that you're going to turn in. So if you're giving statistics, you may want to turn your document in. But those stories of your clients that you can attach, they also become part of the case. And so if you have 10 stories, if you go around and get 10 stories from clients, it's best to make sure that they were written by that person. So if you turn in 10 cards where people just signed, this rate increase is going to hurt me or whatever, those will all be counted as one item more than likely. But if they are separate letters or handwritten or even something typed up and signed by a customer, it will become a party to the case. So I want to stop there. Any questions so far?
I have
Yes,
one, Jackie. Oh, sorry.
yes,
Um, my question is about, I know that it's really important for people to testify. That the main thing that we're trying to do tonight and over the next week is draw people out to testify. But I remember you saying in a recent meeting that it's also good for people to be there to fill a room. Can you speak a little bit about that?
absolutely. So as I said a little bit earlier, the utilities are trying their best, and some of the commissioners, to eliminate public hearings altogether. And when they see a packed room full of people, they know we're listening, they know we're watching, they know that we are impacted in some way by the utility increase. And so it really is important to pack the room, to make sure that every seat is taken and there's standing room in the back, and to stay there as long as you can possibly stay there. And so not to just, make your statement and then leave the room, but everyone, I like to say, everyone bring someone with them, and bring a snack if you think you're going to be there a long time. But come to stay and to make a statement. Even if you're not speaking, you're making a statement by being there. So please, don't think that we only want you there if you're going to make a comment. One of the most impactful things that happened in the I think it was the Spire case last year, with Ollie Stewart, who is a 92-year-old senior who runs a senior center. She packed her center on the virtual hearing day and had folks set up cameras where when they logged into the WebEx, everybody could see that the room was packed. And then they had about 4, 5, or 6 people who walked up to the podium and made statements. It was so impactful that the utilities and the regulators were talking about it for a long time. And so she's doing that again this time. She's going to have on the 24th at noon a room full of seniors, and some of them are going to come up to the podium and talk about the impact, and the others will sort of be in the amen corner, watching and making sure that they know, that the commissioners know and the utilities know that they are interested in making sure that the rates are just and affordable, and that they are able to come out and show their interest by gathering in a group and staying for the full proceeding. So it's really important.
There's one, thank you. That's what a great story. I was in the chat, Claire had asked to learn more about the information on attempting to eliminate public hearings. I'd love for you to speak about that, Jackie. But before you do, I do want to say that like normally they don't even have, well, since I've been employed at Sierra Club, we haven't had any hearings in St. Louis City. They've all been out in the county. And we had to put up a fight to try to get a hearing in St. Louis City. There's
Yeah.
a lot of customers in St. Louis City, so it's sort of wild that there wasn't a hearing here. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so prior to COVID, there were usually 2 hearings in the city. And it's only been since COVID that they eliminated, in 2022, there were no hearings scheduled. And the reason was that we had to fight to get even one hearing in the St. Louis area. And they chose to put it in St. Louis County. And it really did make a difference because, and they, you know, they would have at least a couple of daytime hearings and a couple of nighttime hearings. Now, we fought really hard for this Ameren case, and we got additional hearings. So we have one in the city, and we have one in the county, and we have one in St. Charles County. But when the Spire hearing comes along, to date, they are trying to hold us to one in the St. Louis area. And so we're fighting that fight for the Spire hearings that'll come along later in the spring. We're fighting that fight right now. Consumers Council and other interveners are fighting that fight as we speak to try to make sure that there are more than one. Sierra Club is a part of that fight. You know, Renew Missouri. We're all legal aid, you know, AARP. We're all fighting that fight to have more opportunity for people to speak out. It's very difficult when the commissioners don't think it's important. And the current commissioners that we have mostly do not think it is important. They think that the folk who are, you know, the Public Service Commission staff who look at the books and the interveners should be able to make comments, and then they should just move forward without any public input. And so we just have to show up. We have to make noise. We have to make sure that our faces and our voices are heard. So I'm going to move on. So this is a list of all of the hearings that are coming up on the Ameren case. And the one that I want to bring attention to is at the St. Louis Community College. We want to pack that student center cafeteria. The other one, and Consumers Council will have staff at all of these meetings. And so I will be at the community college one, and I will be on the noontime virtual hearing, but we'll have John at Sunset Hills and maybe Sandy, and Sandy will be at St. Charles. And so we'll have staff at all of these, but we won't be speaking. We'll be giving out information. We made these informational cards that in partnership with Renew Missouri that summarize everything I'm saying here today in a 4-line card that we give out to people who may not have had an opportunity to do this training. And we have people standing at the doors trying to make sure people don't leave before they get an opportunity and try to talk them out. I know I talked several people out of leaving at the water hearing. So we look forward to being there to support whatever is going on, even though we won't be speaking.
Yeah, I just put in there that you were very persuasive, Jackie. Just a quick note that Sierra Club will also be at St. Charles, St. Louis, the virtual hearings, and hopefully St. Louis County as well.
Good, good. So I've got a couple of other topics I want to just touch on a little. And, you know, it's mainly because Consumers Council is, in addition to the rate hearing, we're looking at other issues. And this one sort of walks the path beside the public hearings. It's related to the rate increase. So the Department of Energy has 250 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars in loan guarantees in this new infrastructure reinvestment program. And the purpose of that is to help utilities and others invest in renewable energy and retiring their coal and fossil fuel plants in the coming years. And Ameren is one of those that is planning to retire some of those. So the point is that Ameren could apply for some of these funds, or what they're wanting to do is just to simply pass it on to consumers, the cost of doing that. They could just apply for some of the funds, and it would cut what they have to pass on to consumers. It would cut that amount. And so, you know, it's allowable for them to apply for these grants. They've said they were applying for some of the grants, but they have not completed an application. And so to whatever extent we can put pressure on them, we should be putting pressure on them. Now, if you don't understand this fully, I'm not expecting you to speak to this in your public comments, but it's an opportunity for them to do the right thing and at least not pass all of this on to us as customers. So it means savings for customers, for you, for me, and all of Ameren's customers. And that would even be the businesses and all customers. They should complete and submit an EIR application and maximize the ratepayer savings from any EIR loan award. And the commission should direct Ameren to take advantage of EIR program. And so we're asking in our expert witness, we had an expert witness who addressed this issue in her testimony, that Ameren would be saving all customers money by using this tool that is available to them. And we'll just have to see how that goes. But Consumers Council has an expert witness that is dealing with this issue to try to get them to use these funds. So I want to give you just a quick overview of the city water, because I mentioned that the city water is not regulated by the Public Service Commission. And we have no opportunity in the city of St. Louis. If you live in the city, you have no opportunity, except if you happen to know that they're going to be discussing it at the Board of Aldermen. But last year, 2 years ago, they passed an increase of 44% within a month's time without any public hearing. And we found out that they were discussing it at the Board of Aldermen 3 days before the time that they were going to hear. We were able to get one person, our attorney, to that meeting, but it did not have any impact because they voted on it on the same day as the hearing, not taking any of our comments into account. So we wrote a grant and got some funding to look at the process for the water, the billing process, how they're billing, the inequities that exist in flat rate customer billing, the inability to get meters even if you want it. And we hope to, it's a 3-year grant, and we're working with the city, and we hope to see some changes in their processes. One of the things that we asked them, because they've got 10,000 customers who are in arrears in their bills, and we asked, do you have an assistance program? The city has never had an assistance program. At least Ameren has one, Inspire has one, the Metropolitan Sewer District now has one, and the water company. They have no assistance available. So they set aside, since we've been working with them, $1 million which is not a lot of money when you have $10,000, 10,000 customers with bills over $1,000. It's not a lot of money, but they have set aside, they've taken the first step, set aside some money to help people. We want to help them have a more equitable water system. We asked for data on the last time they did a cost of use study. And a cost of use study is simply how much does it cost to deliver water to a customer? And they said they hadn't done one since 1958. And so, but they raised our rates by 44%. Additionally, they put into they voted on a mechanism that would increase the rates based on the consumer price index starting in at the beginning of next year. You'll get an increase regardless of how much it costs. And so we're hoping to have a good 3 years to work with the utilities, to the water company, and to set up some processes that are more transparent, to have some ability for people to have comments, and to allow people to have meters and equitable ways to determine if they use water. So for example, right now, if they're basing it on what the the closets, the toilets that you have in your house, and then the square footage of your house. Um, and so if you have 10 people in a house with one bathroom, you're going to pay the same amount as if there were one person in the house with one bathroom. And so it's just no equity in the way that the rates are done. And then there's no ability to get a meter if you're a low user. Many seniors who have houses with 2 or 3 bathrooms, they're paying large amounts, and they are living in the house alone now. They may have raised a family of 6 kids or whatever. Now they're alone and afraid that they won't be able to pay the water. Additionally, the sewer bill in the city is based on your water bill and not your actual usage, because not how many flushes you have, like in the county, and so it makes the water bills higher. And so we'll be going around for the next year. One of the people we hired is a coordinator for this program, talking about this in the community. We hope to have you all allow us, whatever meetings you have, to come out and talk about the project, talk about our goals, and help us spread the word through the community that the water, the process of getting water, even though we have good water in the city of St. Louis, the process is not equitable, and we need to do all we can to make sure that everyone has access to affordable water. So that's one of the projects you can watch out for with us. Any questions? Okay, then I am